Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Linda Black Elk. I'm from NATIFS, North American Traditional Indigenous Food Systems, which is a Native nonprofit in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. And we talk about food sovereignty. But today I'm actually here to talk to you about one of my favorite medicines, which is also a great food item, and it's called Fire Cider. Fire Cider is pretty much what it sounds like. It's a bunch of fiery, pungent, strongly flavored fruits and vegetables with apple cider vinegar and honey. And it just so happens that I have a beautiful plate of some of the ingredients that go into fire cider. And you can see there's a number of different chilies. I like my fire cider to be really fiery. So I use jalapeno, I use serrano chilies, and I even use these little bursts of heat Thai chilies. I'm using some fresh turmeric. You can see that beautiful orange color on the inside of the fresh turmeric. I was able to find all of this at my local grocery store here in the cities, but if you can only find powdered herbs, that's fine. Use what you have. That's what fire cider is all about. This is a great medicine, but one of the things I really love about it is that you can make it your own. So if you aren't able to find horseradish, a turmeric or horseradish, which we weren't. We didn't have horseradish at our local store. So instead, I'm using some of the horseradish that I preserved myself last year. But I also have a parsnip that my husband was able to find at our local grocery store. I have some beautiful thyme and rosemary fresh. I have some fresh garlic. We were able to find some nice lemons. I have a beautiful onion here and some fresh ginger. Now, again, if you aren't able to find any of these ingredients, even just ginger and apple cider vinegar make a good fire cider. Use what you have laying around. If you have some leftover celery in your fridge that's getting a little questionable and wilted, use that in your fire cider. This morning, my husband and my 8-year-old had a grapefruit for breakfast, and it was a beautiful organic grapefruit. And I said, save the peel for me so that I can put that into my fire cider. The peel of various citruses is so high in vitamin C and other beautiful essential oils and things that are really good to boost our immune system, keep us healthy, and help us get through various illnesses. And that's what fire cider does. So fire cider, this mix of all of these pungent ingredients and apple cider vinegar and honey, is so great for boosting your immune system and helping you fight off things like colds and flus and other viral illnesses. But it's also really wonderful for helping to lower your blood pressure, helping to stabilize blood sugar, helping to heal your gut microbiome, which means you'll have really good digestion. And also, fire cider can be really good for people who have things like acid reflux. And so it just has such a multitude of uses, and yet it's so easy to put together. I calculated the cost of the ingredients that I have in front of me, and total everything for this fire cider, including this jar, might cost you about $5. Now, if you were to buy a prepared bottle of fire cider from the store, which they do have, especially at our local, fancier grocery stores and co-ops, they do have already prepared fire cider in bottles, but it's kind of expensive. So for a quart of fire cider that you might buy from a local co-op, a full quart, it might cost you upwards of $50. So it really is a lot more cost effective to make your own, or you could do it as a fundraiser for one of your local organizations or for your school. Okay, so let's just get started. This is gonna move really quickly. The first ingredient that I'm going to add to my jar, so I'm just gonna take the lid off and have my empty jar here. And the first ingredient I'm gonna use is my onion. Now I'm just using a yellow onion, but you can use whatever onion you have laying around. And if you have a leftover half an onion from last night's dinner, use that. If you don't want to peel your onion, just start chopping. I'm just going to peel it because I usually do, but you don't have to. There's actually a lot of nutrition and good medicine. I'm reaching over. I always keep a garbage bowl nearby just to make it easier so that I don't have a bunch of stuff sitting around in front of me. But if you, didn't want to peel your onion, you don't have to. So I'm just going to chop my onion really quickly. And it doesn't have to be pretty, right? It doesn't have to be beautiful. It just needs to be practical, and it all needs to fit into your jar. So whatever size chunks you want to use for your fire cider, go ahead and use that. Sometimes if I'm, cooking, I'll make my, diced onions all the same size, and I'll try to make them really pretty. But the whole point here is not to make it look beautiful necessarily. It's just to get it to all fit into our jar. So I'm going to take this whole onion that I just chopped up, and I'm going to put it into our jar. Again, you didn't have to peel that. If you want to put in a whole onion, or maybe just cut in half, you could do that. Dice it up however you want to. Next, I think I'll use some of our garlic. Now, this is a whole bulb of garlic, and that's going to take quite a while to peel and chop up. So I don't even bother with it. What I'll do is I'll just take some of these cloves off of the bulb, and you could use a whole bulb of garlic if you wanted. You could use, you don't have to use any garlic if you don't have it, or, maybe garlic is really expensive at the store that week. Do whatever you can, whatever you have. So if you look here on my cutting board, I have some garlic cloves, okay? Now, I don't want to take the time, especially for the purposes of this video, I don't want to take the time to make them look really beautiful and peel them all up very finely. I'm going to strain out the vegetables later anyway. So I'm just going to leave the peel on and do a really rough chop. If you don't like garlic, leave it out. If you don't have garlic, leave it out, no big deal. But maybe you have some leftover cloves of garlic that you want to use, and you just take those, chop them up roughly, put them in your jar. Okay, and so you can see we're doing a nice layering effect. By the way, if I had some really beautiful black peppercorns, which I don't right now, but if I did, I could put those in my jar as well. Next, I have some ginger root. Okay, this is a really important traditional medicine for our Kanaka, our Native Hawaiian relatives. Ginger is very good for digestion. It's really good for nausea. It's really good for the lungs. I grew up with ginger. Anytime we were sick, my mom would make a tea out of ginger, lemon, and honey, which are all 3 ingredients in fire cider. So, this is something that is very traditional for me. So I'm not even going to peel this ginger. Now, if I did want to, I could peel the ginger, and I'll just show you really quick the trick to peeling ginger easily. Getting your knife into all of those nooks and crannies is really tough. You don't have to do that. All you do is you grab a spoon and you just scrape the peel off of your ginger if you want to peel it, but you don't have to. And I'm not going to take the time to do that. I'm just going to roughly chop my ginger into slices. You could do as large or small of a dice as you want to. I'm just chopping it up into slices. And just like my onions, just like my garlic, I'm going to add the ginger to my jar. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with this gorgeous fresh turmeric that we found at the store. I'm not even going to peel it. There is medicine in the peel, and I'm not going to take that off. So I just simply chop up my turmeric and add it to the jar. Now, at this point, I know some of you are thinking, well, what are the measurements that she's using? You can see I'm measuring very carefully. Not, right? I don't measure, but I can. I'm happy to send you a really specific recipe. But Fire cider, again, is what you make of it. If you have a large whole onion available, use it. But if you only have half an onion, use it, right? But there are thousands of fire cider recipes online as well, and different variations. So you can choose the one that works best for you. So I just have so far the onion, the garlic, the ginger, and the turmeric in my jar. And now I'm going to chop up this jalapeno, this beautiful organic jalapeno. I'm just gonna chop this, cut this into slices. And I am going to put this into my jar. Now that cap end, I could put that into my jar too, or I could just put it into my compost. I think I'll compost that today. Just varies from day to day, as far as what I want to use. I am also going to chop up a serrano chili, which is quite a bit hotter than a jalapeno. And it's up to you. You don't have to use serrano. You don't have to use any really hot chilies. I'm just going to add this chopped serrano to my jar. And I don't want to cut up these Thai chilies. I feel like it's already going to be hot enough. So I'm just going to add 2 Thai chilies into the jar whole. Totally up to you if you want to do that. And then my husband was able to find some gorgeous thyme at the grocery store. So I'm going to add some of that just directly into my jar and press down, just press so I can fit everything in there. And he was also able to find some gorgeous fresh rosemary at the store. Now, rosemary and thyme are powerfully antimicrobial. They're wonderful for preventing infections. And so I love to add those into my fire cider. Pretty much everything in here is anti-infection. This is a beautiful parsnip. He found a pack of parsnips. Parsnips are also full of medicine that's great for your lungs. We could add this into our fire cider, but I actually have some ground up horseradish, no salt added. All this is horseradish and vinegar that I preserved last year. If you don't have fresh horseradish, you can use prepared horseradish. You just want to make sure it doesn't have any salt or preservatives. This is just vinegar and horseradish chopped up. I'm going to add 2 really big spoonfuls of that into my jar. If you don't have any horseradish anywhere, maybe 3. I love horseradish. If you don't have any anywhere, that's fine. Just leave it out. You don't have to use it. Okay. So let's review. I have onion, garlic, ginger, turmeric, jalapeno, serrano, Thai chilies, rosemary, thyme, and horseradish in here so far. And now I'm going to add that beautiful organic grapefruit peel from breakfast this morning. I'm just going to give it a rough chop. Okay, just because I had it, I didn't want to go spend extra money on more ginger, grapefruit peel or citrus. But if you have more citrus laying around, you could use it. Here's a beautiful fresh organic lemon. If you don't have an organic lemon, that's fine. Just use whatever you have. I'm just going to add half of this and I'm going to give it a rough chop into some slices. Notice I'm not even peeling it because a lot of that medicine comes from the lemon peel. Okay, super high in some good compounds there. And I'm just going to add that into my jar. My jar is getting pretty full, and that's okay because you'll see the magic happen when I pour the vinegar in. And so I have my organic apple cider vinegar. Organic doesn't matter as much as raw and unfiltered. See that? Raw and unfiltered apple cider vinegar. You want to get, this is a good brand, but get whatever brand they have. If they don't have raw unfiltered apple cider vinegar, just use whatever apple cider vinegar they have. Getting some fire cider into your system is more important than the bougie ingredients. Okay. So I have my fire cider ingredients in here. Now I'm going to fill up with as much vinegar as I can get in this jar. Okay. So you can see, I might let it sink down a little bit. And then I am going to but but you can see it. I got the vinegar up to the top. I'm gonna push my ingredients down below the vinegar as much as I can. And you guys, that's it. We just made fire cider. Okay. In about 2 weeks, I could start getting spoonfuls of this beautiful infused vinegar out of here and just taking it by the spoonful. Or if I wanted, I could strain out that beautiful infused vinegar and add some raw honey to make it sweeter. Now, for myself, I don't necessarily need the honey in there because it's sweet. I like the added medicine of the honey because honey is a wonderful cough medicine in and of itself. So fire cider with the addition of raw honey is beautiful for coughs. But if you don't, let's say you're diabetic and you don't feel comfortable adding honey to your fire cider, you don't have to. Some of my friends, especially my friends who like to give fire cider to their kids, they will give like when they strain out the infused vinegar for their fire cider, they'll add almost half as much honey. So if they have 2 cups of vinegar, they'll add a cup of honey. And that's a lot. It makes it really sweet, but that's okay. You do whatever works best for you. Whatever, however you can get this into your family's diet is fine. You could even use fire cider as a culinary ingredient. Maybe you want to put a little bit into bean soups. Maybe you want to use some in your salad dressings. Maybe you want to use a couple spoonfuls of fire cider in your barbecue sauces. You could do, put a couple spoonfuls into your stir fries. It will add a lot of flavor, but more importantly, it'll add tons of medicine. So again, just to review, all we did was chop up our veggies, in this case, onion, garlic, ginger, turmeric, various chilies, some grapefruit peel. We added some rosemary and thyme. We added some sliced lemon. We added some grated horseradish. And then we just poured vinegar over the top. And that's basically fire cider, you guys. Super easy to do. Again, if I had some celery, I could add that. Some of my friends add rose hips. I have friends who add even mushrooms. I've had friends add mushrooms to fire cider. I have friends who add hawthorn or hawthorn berries, bay leaves. There's just no end to the creativity that you can have. I'll let this infuse for at least 2 weeks. Although, just to let you know, I've had jars of fire cider that I've left to infuse for upwards of 2 or more years. This will never go bad. It's basically pickling all of these ingredients. And then at the end of whatever time I choose to let it infuse, I'll strain it and add some honey if desired. Okay. And that's fire cider. As much as you want to take, I usually do a spoonful of it every morning and a spoonful of it every evening. During times when, like now, we're getting into cold and flu season. So I might even up that to, doing it a couple times a day just to prevent those illnesses and infections, keep my immune system high. But if you're just looking for prevention, you just need about a spoonful of it a day. Just a good heaping teaspoonful. But it's, there's no limit. If you wanted to do it 4 or 5 times a day, you certainly could, as long as your stomach can handle the acidity of the vinegar. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope that you will try some fire cider.